Hi, well in this film I'm going to show you lots of lovely spoons and other wooden items which were made for the competitions at the Bodgers Ball. So these are made out of greenwood, that's wood straight from the tree. And there's a lovely collection here. Well, pegs, I remember those as a child, I remember those being sold actually. But there's a whole range of wooden items. And I particularly liked this. It's a trug type bowl made by a very experienced trug maker. Beautiful skill there. It's actually a Victorian sewing basket, but it's done in the style of a trug, and it was beautiful. A rather unusual totem type pole arrangement here. You get all sorts of things. I mean, it's wonderful. Look at this. Do you think that was inspired by someone with perhaps a young child? It's a nice little bowl, but if you see underneath in just a second, look, a little pair of feet. And it just felt nice in the hand. And this is the thing about the craft. A lot of it, you look at it and you just admire the way it's made, the thought that's gone into it, the skill, and, well, it's just very nice. I always find it quite inspirational because you get ideas, you look at these things and you think, oh, yes, I suppose actually you can use the techniques for making a truck, say, and not. Anyway, we have a junior class, it's for the youngsters, and it's lovely to see entries here, a little bit of weaving going on there, making some yarn up. And often the youngsters, they actually have great imagination and come up with lovely things. A little fairy's wand. You imagine making that out of willow. It's great. Now spoons, they are very popular indeed, and there are lots and lots of entries. We've actually split the spoons into two groups, and one is knife finish, i.e. done with a knife, and the other is a sanded finish. Now both classes seem to get a lot of entries. Here we've got the knife finish spoons, and I particularly liked that one. But there were a lot of spoons there that I particularly liked, and spoon carving generally we're finding is becoming extremely popular. So beach one there. I suppose it's the sort of thing you can pick it up, you can whittle a spoon out of a bit of firewood. It's interesting because you can see people, they probably have trees cut down in their garden, that's a damson. Well, it's not the sort of what I call a woodyard wood, but someone probably had a damson tree, was cutting it down, a nice bit of birch there, and thought, oh, let's make a spoon. And you get some beautiful graining patterns, some very good shapes. People have got good at this actually, because the spoon shapes are very usable. They would feel comfortable in the mouth. Ergonomically they feel all right. And the standard, I've noticed year on year, is getting incredibly high. I mean, look at that, beautiful. It's just a joy to look at. It'll be really nice to use. It feels nice in the hand. And there are some quite large spoon gatherings now in the UK. There's the Spoon Fest, which is a very large one up near Sheffield, which is very popular. And there are other more local ones as well going on. I went to one actually the other day down near Canterbury. And it's great because you pick up little tips. I've been making a few spoon carving knives actually, which have been quite popular. And it's, again, you learn by making the spoons yourself, listening to other people and their ideas and how to put a spoon, how to carve a spoon and what works knife-wise. You get good ideas. These are the sanded finish spoons. And again, there's a great variety. And you get ideas. You know, it's not just sort of eating spoons. There are ladles there, there are serving spoons. I like this one. It's a birch spoon. And you can see the bark's being left on. And you just wouldn't get that with a commercially made product. People actually use nature, they use it effectively, and they make something that's beautiful. They come in all shapes and sizes, as you can see, and all types of wood. And the labels are quite helpful because on each competition entry, I mean that one's popular, you have to put down what wood's been used. I quite like the sporting on this one, and it actually reminded me of the tool cabinet that I've made, and I've popped a film up on making a nice chairmaker's tool cabinet. Well, a few films actually. But you do get ideas, you see the materials, and you think, oh yes, and then you hear a tree being cut down, it's worth going for it. Well, there's non-turned treen, and this is really largely bowls, mazers, cups, etc. And again, lovely selection of woods. Great imagination going into these. I would say the standard is getting higher and higher. This birch bowl is just beautiful. It reminds me of a pheasant. Just the marking there, it's like the markings on a bird or on a song thrush. It's just it's just beautiful in my mind. I look at that grain, the markings, and it gives such pleasure. And that was so well made. It's beautifully done, nice and thin, but an absolute joy to hold and an absolute joy to look at. And it was a worthy winner, actually, of the competitions. But there are other things there equally. I mean, this little is small, but it's impressive. It's a lovely bit of burr, and it's a nice little hollowed out bowl. And again, it felt nice in your hand. It looked very pleasing on the eye. And it's the skill of these people who have a go at this. I have done a few spoons, and I'm getting better at it, but it's something you do have to work at. This one actually had gold leaf. And that seems slightly unbodgery to me, but it was great. It looked lovely. It looked really lovely and natural. You had a natural metal with a natural wood material, and it was great. Well, turned treen. So these are items done on a pole lathe. So some very nice markings with bowls, a very good chalice type cup here with nice marking. And the skill on these, this you've got to bear in mind, is being done on a pole lathe. So it's not done on a power lathe, it's done on a foot operated pole lathe. A lovely bowl there. And I think I may know who made that one, actually. You tend to begin to recognise who's made particular bits of wood, and if it is, it's a person who featured in the film on the bowl turning hooks that I put up. Quite fun use here of milk paint with a natural dye, and I forget now exactly what, I think it's madder root dye that they'd used on this one. You'll probably read it on the label if you pause it. A rolling pin, and that rolling pin was a nice smooth rolling pin. But again, you've got to bear in mind it's being done on a pole lathe, so not as easy as a power lathe in many respects, but the skill was great. A nest of bowls there in the background. This class, Field and Craft, covers quite a lot of lovely items. I mean, I really like this basket. It's chestnut and ash, and that was a very worthy winner. And I saw that actually being made. A lovely leather tankard. Leather work is creeping in. You know I like leather work. And look at that, another tankard there, which is very nicely carved and shaped. So yes, we're finding more and more leather items turning up, which is good. It expands the skill. People want tool covers, and it's like everything else in life. You tend to get a little bit sort of led down a particular path, get an interest for it. This was another worthy winner, I believe, and a very nice basket. I do like these baskets. It's not something I've done much of, but I would like to at some point do a bit more. So all these things, and you get ideas, you see them there, and well, it is inspirational. You think, well, okay, what materials have I got around where I live? Could I make something like one of these? A ladder. You imagine cleaving that chestnut to get that ladder to the right height. Again, very well done and very nicely made. And I particularly liked these boots. They're made out of, I think it was doe skin. They had something that looked a bit like Stockholm tar on the base. I'm not quite certain, it's some goo. And well, I've got to make some shoes. I cannot look at these and say I don't want to make shoes. So a leather working project will be shoes. There are buckskin fallow deer. Tool class. I love tools, as you know. And there's some great bits of work here. So this axe, a lovely bit of leather work on the actual axe head itself, a very nice shaft, and the axe itself was actually forged from a bus spring, from a London bus spring. A very nice wooden clamp with a little leather backing here. Nice little cut thread, and yes, it's made by me, this one of my trapping planes, cast from car alternator parts. So I did a sand casting to make that one. It wasn't placed, but it was good to enter it. And a very nice medieval knife. So a good bit of tool making, some bowl turners hooks, a little bit like the ones I made in an earlier film. This year we had a themed item, and it was something to keep the children amused, i.e. a toy of some sort. And I like this little puppet here, this little twig animal puppet. You see it move and it sort of walks along. That was rather clever. I mean, they're all great items, great imagination. Quite a few sets of 9 pins, which are quite a nice traditional sort of game. And it's a good thing to do on a pole lathe, actually. Quite an interesting Aunt Sally doll here with a little bit of history about the Aunt Sally doll and how it was sold at the Army and Navy stores in 1907. It's great actually, because you do learn little bits of history and you find out little things you didn't know as you look around, and you're constantly picking up little tips really. So there's your Aunt Sally. And this game, Ladder Golf, I'm not certain if it did, what prize it did get, but it certainly should have got a good prize because the children played with this all weekend. It was so popular. It was, I think, the absolute winner. And a rocking horse here, very nicely made, with nice oak framing there. And I liked this. It's a hobby horse type thing, or donkey, but with felt work. So that's actually, again, another quite clever skill to make that out of making up your own felt and making the head there. And it looks really quite effective. So I've only seen bits of that done. The axe was placed first, and it's a very worthy winner there. And of course we then have the prize giving and the certificates, and that's always nice to see people get their well-earned prizes.
And in first place we have Andrew Kirby.
Well, I hope you enjoyed seeing that range of craft, and thanks very much for watching.